you, honey, as you go about your day. Hoping that the skies are sunny, sending all my love your way. Take some comfort in my words, hear me when I say that we'll be together soon. When the flowers bloom, till then it's nice to know that somebody cares and somebody's there, and you're never really alone. I hope you feel it way down deep inside. Somebody loves you, even when there's not a soul inside. Somebody loves you, so don't you worry, everything's alright, 'cause somebody loves you.
All right, let's try that again, shall we? Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Sunday morning to you. I hope you are well. And for those of you who joined us last night for the After Dark edition, I hope you are recovering from your wine hangover as well. If you weren't able to join us yesterday, that's okay. Make sure you go back and check out the replay. Just remember, the After Dark edition is not necessarily appropriate for younger kids. So if you do have your kids or grandkids with you, now might not be the best time to go ahead and watch that. Maybe watch that later when you're by yourself. We do try to keep it as PG as we can, but sometimes some things slip. Yesterday I had a pretty big blooper myself, so if you caught that, it was pretty funny. Thanks again to everybody that joined us yesterday. It was so much fun. Thank you. Special thank you to my mom and Cheryl and Lucas for joining me. We had such a great time. I even put Lucas to work, so make sure you check that out. You'll be seeing them again next month. They're going to be joining us for the PMQ, so you're going to see them, I guarantee, at least once a month. Maybe more. We'll have to wait and see. But for right now, at least once a month. Usually, it's probably going to be the second or third Saturday of every month. I want to give everybody extra time to make sure that they get their clues before we open them up. So if you want to join us, if you're doing the PMQ and you want to join us, when you get that envelope in the mail, do not open it. Just hang on to it for us, and you can hang out with us on the Saturday evening. And we're going to open them together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I know people are telling me, no audio. Okay, it's fixed. It should be fixed now, yeah. Lucas says much better. Okay, great. One of the other things that I wanted to mention that I mentioned yesterday is yesterday was actually the 2-year anniversary for our live stream. It was really, really exciting. It's really exciting that we've actually been here for 2 years. It's kind of hard to believe a little bit. It's just... You know, I've told you guys this 100 times before, but when I first started this channel, I had no idea that it was going to turn into what it has so far, and I'm just so excited to see what the future holds. I mean, 573 subscribers. I mean, that's just crazy. I never expected 573 people to want to watch me or to be subscribed to my channel. I mean, 25 was probably the max that I ever expected. So thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to all of our new friends. We've had a bunch of new subscribers coming in lately. Thank you to you guys for hanging out with us, for joining the channel. I hope you guys are having a great time. If you're in chat right now, please say hello, because we'd love to officially welcome you to the channel. I mean, you know, I get some notifications for some names, but I'd love to be able to officially welcome you to the channel if I can. Speaking of chat, I always like to give a very, very special shout out to the first person in chat. So if you're lucky, you might be that person. Today, that was Linda Denton. So good morning, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy you're back. And thank you. I hope you are having a fantastic Sunday morning. It is a fantastic day here at the So Not an Expert household. The weather is kind of starting to turn a little bit. It's not quite winter anymore. It's still a little chilly out there, but it's been rainy and foggy. It's like we live in Seattle, I swear, because it's been really rainy and foggy the last few days, but it's already warmed it up. We don't have those sub-zero temperatures anymore. So that's great to hear, great to see, and great to feel. None of us are super chilled anymore. Let me hop into chat real quick and say hello to everybody else there. I want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. I'm doing something a little bit different this time. I reorganized the room a little bit, at least with regards to some of my equipment, and I'm actually going to try and keep an eye on chat right here on the computer screen because I've kind of moved it up nice and close to me. So I do still have my cell phone over here, so I can kind of pop over there and see, but I want to try and make this a little bit more of an interaction with you guys. So I've actually got chat right here on the side, so if you just see my eyes move, that's because I'm reading chat over here. But that's where things are at. So let me pop over here and say hello to everybody. It's Tracy from Sojourney. Hi, Tracy. She says, looking forward to the live. Well, thank you, Tracy. I'm glad you're here. Thanks so much for joining us. Judy, hi. Welcome back. I saw you last night. Thanks again for coming back. Chloe, good morning. Hi, how are you? Good morning, Terry. Thanks again for coming back in. I really appreciate you guys being here. Oh. Lucas is in the house. Good morning, Lucas. Lucas says, how is everyone this morning? Lucas, we are all recovering. That is how we are doing. Actually, I'm not doing too bad. Mama Joyce and Cheryl were on the call with us for almost an extra hour after we ended the live stream. Our live stream went for an extra hour, if you know. Usually it only goes for 2 hours. It went for 3 hours yesterday, and then we had another hour on top of that, not on the live stream where we were talking about things. So it was a late night. It's a late night. But that's all right. We had a great time. Let's see if I'm missing anybody so far, Linda. Hi, Patty. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Gladys, hi. How are you? She says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Gladys. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. I don't think I see any other names. If I've missed you, I apologize. Please make sure you say hello in chat, and I will try and catch it. I see Tammy. Lucas mentions Tammy's name. So Tammy, if you are here, good morning. Welcome to the channel. I hope you are well. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on our t-shirt table runner project. Now, we were supposed to work on it last week, but I wasn't quite prepared for it. I am prepared for it today. I spent some time yesterday preparing and getting things ready to go. So we are ready to do that, and I'll tell you what I did in just a minute. But for those of you who are just joining us, the t-shirt table runner project, so basically it's a t-shirt quilt, but I didn't have enough shirts to make a full-size quilt. So the person that these t-shirts are from actually said, well, can you make me a couple of table runners for my dining room table instead? And I said, absolutely, we can do that. So what I've done is I went ahead and we've made some table runners. We made a Christmas one that we finished just before the holiday season. You can go back into the playlist for the t-shirt quilt and you can check that one out. Now we're working on 2 more. These are zoo themed, and I'm going to show you this. These are so cool. Some of the t-shirts say run wild. And like this one here says, let me show you. This one says, I ran with the animals. So these are really cool. And then I found this really cute, adorable fabric for the background. It's all these really cute little animals. It's just so adorable. Absolutely adorable. So we're going to be using that. Oh, I didn't realize I was on the wrong camera. There we go. Let's flip that over. Sorry, guys. So we're going to be working with that today. And we actually have 2 of them. We have this one here, and then we have another one over here. This one is 1 shirt longer than this one. So this one is 4 shirts. This one is 5. So this one is just 1 shirt longer. And it's got a bunch of t-shirts on it. So cool. You guys can see that. And the idea here is that we're going to be quilting these, and then I'm going to try to use the extra fabric on the sides, and I'm going to try and use that as the binding that goes around. We'll have to, hopefully there's actually going to be enough. I think there should be enough as long as I'm careful when I'm trimming it. I should be able to salvage that enough to be able to use it as a binding. Oh, was working on their link. Okay, Lucas, thanks for that. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The very first, so what I have done is I've gone ahead and I stabilized the t-shirts. I used some t-shirt stabilizer that I bought online. I do not recommend it, not because it's not a good product. It is absolutely good product. It's just very, very pricey. I recommend you find something a little less expensive. But that's what I did. So I stabilized the t-shirts and then I trimmed them down, and then I cut out some pieces here that might have been like on the arm sleeve or on the neckline or on the back here. And I went ahead and cut those out and added those if I thought that they were kind of cool. So we went ahead and did that. And then we sewed up the t-shirts all together. I have ironed these seams open. So that means both sides are open like this. And then I went ahead and sandwiched it up together. So I've got our backing, I've got our batting, and then I've got our t-shirt. Now I'm using safety pins. You do however you prefer to sandwich these up. Some people like to use a spray-based to put the layers together. That's completely up to you. I don't like to do things like that just because I don't like the overspray in my room. I prefer to use a safety pin method. That's just me. My safety pins are about 4 inches apart, and I do at least 3 across. Because this is a table runner, it's kind of small, so I'm doing at least 3, but I might do more than that later on. Terry says she uses Polyon P44F for t-shirts. Much more economical. Yes, absolutely. That's why I say I don't recommend what I used. Not because it wasn't a great product. It absolutely was. But it was extremely pricey. So try and use something that's a little less expensive if you can. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go around both of these with a very wide zigzag stitch. Very wide this way and very wide this way. And I want to just use that as like a basting stitch to kind of keep everything together. And the reason I want to go super wide on both of these is because I actually want to be able to pull it off before I do my binding. So then that way it doesn't overlap anything. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm using a black thread so I can really see it up against all these t-shirts. And this is just to kind of secure the layers together so they don't shift around too much as we're doing our quilting. Now the idea here that I want to do is I want to quilt in between each t-shirt. I'm going to do a straight in the ditch stitch between each t-shirt. And then I want to focus on each t-shirt and I want to kind of stitch around the designs a little bit to kind of give them a little bit more depth. That's the plan. We'll see if that actually happens. It's going to take a while for that. So I'm going to be using my walking foot. I do have a walking foot from my machine. If you don't have a walking foot, that's okay. You don't necessarily need one, but they do help. But they are very, very expensive. So I can understand why you may or may not want to make that type of investment. You can use your regular foot, but I'm going to recommend going very, very slowly. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that your machine is grabbing those 3 layers every time it's moving forward. The walking foot does that for us. It grabs the top layer for us as well as the bottom layer with your presser feet. So then that way we don't have to worry too much about it. But when you're not using a walking foot, sometimes the top layer can kind of pull at a different speed than the bottom. So you just want to go slow to make sure that everything is grabbing the way that it's supposed to. That's going to be my recommendation. The other recommendation I have is I have a quilting glove, which I forgot to grab. It's in my cabinet. I'll grab it in just a second. I have a quilting glove that I'm going to use to help me move the fabric. And it basically just has some rubber tips on it. And that just helps me move the fabric underneath the machine a little bit easier. Now, I am not going to drop the feed dogs. When I'm using the walking foot, I want to keep the feed dogs up so then that way they can work with the walking foot. If I was going to be using my quilting foot, then I would want to drop those feed dogs and kind of use a little bit more of a free motion. I'm not going to do that today. I might do that another time with one of these other t-shirts. We'll have to wait and see because it's going to take us a while to quilt this a little bit at a time. All right, so let me grab my gloves first, and then we're going to go ahead and get this all zigzagged up. I want to hear from you guys. 1, did you join us yesterday, and what did you think? I hope you had a good time. And 2, what are you guys working on today or this weekend or this week, or what are the new projects that you guys have got going on? I'd love to hear more about them. And don't forget to share pictures on our Facebook and our Instagram. You can tag us on Instagram, or you can go over to our Facebook page and share pictures with us. I know a couple people shared some pictures yesterday. Thank you for that. You guys keep me inspired. You guys are awesome. That's why the name of that page is called Danny and the Experts, because I am definitely not one of them. Let me grab my gloves and let's get started. All right. My gloves. These are just ones that I found online. I bought them on Amazon. They were super cheap. They're like that stretchy glove that you would normally do in winter, except they're a little bit of a thinner material, and they just have rubber tips on them for my fingertips. So I'm going to put those on. Normally I just use one. I use one on my left hand because that's really the hand that I'm using to guide the fabric. So for right now, I'm just going to put one on. And if I want to wear the other one, I will. I'm going to set it over here for right now. All right. I never like to start anything in a corner. I don't know why. I think it's the binding technique in me or whatever. But I never like to start in a corner. I always kind of like to start on an edge. So I'm going to start kind of towards about a third of the way down. And I also don't want to start on the edge of a t-shirt either. So I'm just going to kind of go a little bit off the edge here a little bit. Bring my foot down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this zigzag stitch right over the edge of the t-shirt. I'm going to do kind of like with the binding and the edge of the t-shirt just to kind of stabilize everything. I'm going to try to keep the end of the zigzag right at the edge. And again, I want to make it nice and big so then that way I can just use my seam ripper to rip it all out before I do my binding. I've got my machine set up right now at a 7.0 for the stretch. A 7.0 this way for the stretch and a 4.0 this way for the stretch. That's just what I use. You use whatever you want. Those are the max that my machine would do. So I'm going to run through this. Now I do have a new mic set up and it's right here. This little white ball. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a white ball right here. That's my mic. It might be picking up the machine a little bit more than my voice. So if that's the case, I can always move it. So you guys let me know. Good morning, Dawn. Thanks for joining us. John says, made it. Morning, all. Good morning, Dawn. Thanks for joining us. So if you guys hear the machine more than you hear me, let me know, and I can move the mic around a little bit so you don't have to hear just the machine. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Actually, my machine is a little tall. Let me pull that down. There we go. One of the things we discussed yesterday was setting up your workstation and making sure that you have nice posture. Your back is straight, your shoulders are back, and when you're working with your machine, when your hands are resting on your machine, that your shoulders feel relaxed. They don't feel like they're up like this. They don't feel like they're down. They don't feel like you're doing this. You want to make sure they're relaxed, and that's how you know if your machine is at the right height. And now I have an hydraulic lift, so I can move electric lift, I'm sorry, and so I can move mine up and down if I need to. When we were setting up my mom's sewing room, I made her switch out the chair that she was using because the chair she was using before didn't go up high enough. So I'm hoping so the chair she was sitting in last night when you saw her was actually a chair that went up a little bit higher because her machine sits up higher. So try and keep that in mind when you're setting up your own sewing room. Make sure that your posture is well, your shoulders are back, and your back is straight so that way you're not creating too much fatigue. One of the other things that I like to do, and this is just something I do when I'm in here by myself, is I like to use the timer on my cell phone to set a timer for 1 hour so that I can get up in an hour and just move around. Just get the blood flowing for just a second there. Because otherwise, you can get some cramping in your legs and other things like that. So I just like to get up just about every hour and just get up, walk to the bathroom across the hall there and walk back. Just doing that for a little bit. Chloe says, I started Pat Sloan's newsletter block Wednesday. What's in your closet? I made a mistake cutting. Thank goodness I found a way to fix it as I'm using an older fabric line. Oh, is the name of the fabric called What's in Your Closet? The block is called What's in Your Closet, or are you asking me what's in my closet? Not newsletter, sew along, autocorrect, she says. No problem. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep basting this around. Now I keep this hand glove free so that I can actually pull out pins if they're in the way. Again, I used a safety pin, so let me grab my safety pin container here. I have it sitting back here. I don't need these right now. There we go. Throw that one in there. All right. Let me know what you guys think of the audio with the machine running. Good morning, Lorraine. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's good to see you back. I'm glad you're here with us. Dawn says, there's a famous photo of a young girl free motion quilting. The position... It looks like she hit enter before she finished the sentence. We'll have to wait for her to finish that one. Oh, the sew along is called What's in Your Closet. It's a 24-inch block. Ah, wow, that's a big block. That's really cool. That's a big block, 24 inches. Wow. this one out too. Now again, I'm just using a really big, wide basting stitch just to kind of keep the layers together. I'm not trying to do anything fancy here. Just trying to stabilize all the layers so that they don't move around on us too much as we're doing our quilting. I can already see there's a little bit of buckling happening, and that's okay. That's kind of the whole point of this, is to get rid of the buckling. I probably could have used my walking foot for this particular step. My walking foot has a nice wide opening on it, but we'll see how this goes. This isn't going too badly. It's grabbing the layers pretty good. And I'm going pretty slow, so I'm not too worried. Hi, Callie. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. Happy Sunday morning to you. I hope you're having a good weekend so far. We are just basting up the edges of our t-shirt table runner before we start quilting. I have went ahead and sandwiched all the layers. And now I am just basting it up before we start quilting. I don't do a lot of FMQ on my home machine here because it does have a very small throat on it. So I don't do a lot of FMQ here at home, but I do try to do at least a little bit with regards to table runner projects because they're smaller. I try to do those. Let's see. Okay, this one too. There's a little bit of a buckle here, and that's just because I probably didn't hold it tight enough when I was pinning it. That happens. That's kind of why we do this. All right, go off the edge. Kelly says, quiet weekend so far. My folks are coming over for dinner later. Ooh, that sounds like fun. It's always nice when you get to spend time with family. All right, so I went ahead and went off the edge there. So now I'm going to turn it this way. Smooth it out. And I'm not going to try, I don't want to overlap these stitches because like I keep saying, I want to make sure that I can pull these out later. This is just a basting stitch to kind of keep everything together. I'm not really trying to do anything super fancy here. There we go. So I'm going to run my seam ripper right through the middle of it before we put on our binding later. Machine seems to be doing an okay job of grabbing the top layer, so I haven't needed to change out my walking foot just yet. I will when we start to get into our detailed sewing, but for right now we're doing okay. Dawn says she's lurking. She's going into sewing mode. I totally understand that. Terry says, I am determined to do FMQ on my domestics. I keep thinking about how in the olden days they used what they had, and I love the vintage world. No, Terry, I completely understand, and there are some people that are able to do full-size quilts on their home machines, and I have a huge amount of respect for them. I can't seem to figure it out with this machine. I just can't do it. So I don't. My full size quilts, I give those to a long arm. I send those off to a long arm. She does fantastic work. And I send them off to her because I cannot seem to figure it out. I don't mind so much on the table runners because I'm not wrestling with it too much, but the full size ones, I cannot get it to work. I can't get it rolled up right. I've tried all kinds of different tips and tricks, and I just can't get it to work. So the big full size ones, those go to the long arm. And as it is, I kind of even struggle with the table runners sometimes too, depending on the size of it. So. But we do our best. We try our best to do what we can. Yeah, I need the other glove. So last night, my mom and Cheryl joined us for our first After Dark edition for 2024. They are going to be joining us for our PMQ. Tree of Life, which that first clue ships, I think, this weekend sometime. I think they said February 2nd. So this next weekend, I think it ships. They're going to be joining us again on the 17th, where we're going to be putting the first clues together. So I'm really excited about that. A little bit of bunching. Where's my purple thing? I had a bunch of tools out yesterday, showing you guys. There we go. There it is. All right. So we were going over some things with Mom yesterday. We were helping her set up her station, trying to get things a little organized for her. We were talking about some notions that you don't necessarily need to have, but they sure make things a little bit easier with regard to the PMQ. And then I actually had a table runner mini mystery quilt from Cotton Cuts that we had some clues for, so we went ahead and did a clue for that, just so they could kind of get an idea of what that was going to be like. That was a lot of fun. Took them a little bit to get the hang of it, and it takes everybody a little bit the first time, but that's why I'm here to help. And that went too fast. There we go. Slow and steady wins the race. So, so that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun putting that together. Lucas was here. I put him to work. He was my Iron Man. All right. Just basting up the edges here. Kelly wants to know, how is Lucas doing now? Lucas is doing much better. He's still kind of a little bit in recovery. He did end up having to have some surgery, some very, very, very minor surgery, nothing major. But he did end up having to have a surgery. But he is doing much better. I think he's actually in chat right now, so he could probably answer for himself. He might have stepped away, though. But he's doing fantastic. He's doing much better. He's still in recovery, but he's on the right road now. And thank you to everybody. I said this yesterday, but thank you to everybody that reached out via email or Facebook Messenger or all kinds of different ways to wish him good luck on his health issues. But he is much, much better now. Much, much better. Brad46 says, we need an after dark on Friday with your mom just for chat. There's a lot of YouTubers that do lives on Friday, so I try to schedule my lives when there is no one else doing it, or the smallest amount of people possible, because I don't like to compete with any of the other Or at least I don't want it to look like I'm trying to compete with any of the other content creators. I mean, let's face it, I would never be able to compete with some of them. But Fridays are a pretty busy day for live streams, so I don't know that we would do anything on Fridays. Kelly says, I'm going to leave this playing, but breakfast is ready. Be back shortly. And Lucas is talking about waiting for the lab to find out what kind of a kidney stone he had so that they can take steps to help prevent it. Because there are different types. I probably should change out to my walking foot because now I am having a little bit of trouble here. Lucas and Terry are still leading the charge in the amount of earned thimbles up there. Lucas still seems to think that there's some type of free car award for $1 million in thimble or 1 million thimbles. So maybe it'll be a Matchbox car. Speaking of cars, Lucas, Cheryl's got one for sale if you're interested. I'm sure she could cut you a deal. Now, these t-shirts are stabilized, but I feel like some of them are just a little wonky. So I'm kind of helping them along a little bit with my purple thing. Because they feel like they're stretching a little bit on the edges here. So I'm just kind of holding it down. Lucas says, what kind of car? Lucas, you'll need to reach out to Cheryl for the specifics, but she posted it on her Facebook wall. It's a real car, like one you can actually drive. It was Cole's, her son's old car. He bought a new one. He bought a truck. And it was, I think it was her mother's car before that. So it's in pretty decent shape. Lower mileage. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. Welcome to the channel. Thanks so much for joining us today. Happy Sunday morning to you. I hope you are well. How's the weather by you? I know it has finally started to warm up here. It's been in the 30s and 40s here, which is fantastic for us. That's about our normal, to be honest. So that's great. We can actually function once again. The deep freeze is over and we're all thawing out. All of our snow has basically melted and we've been getting rain and fog the last few days because of all the melting snow. This one is really bunched. Really bunched, this one. I'm just basting up our t-shirt quilt so that we can actually start quilting it. I'm going pretty slow because these layers are pretty thick. And you know, the t-shirts, they can kind of stretch. They are stabilized, so that is helping quite a bit. But they're still kind of giving me a little bit of trouble today, so. Kathy says, Danny, cold and rainy for the last week. Judy says it's in the 50s in Georgia. Wow. Lucky you. It is most definitely not in the 50s here. As you guys can see, I'm going super slow on this just to kind of make sure that everything is kind of smoothing out. There's no bunching. There's no weirdness happening. Lorraine says it's snowing by her. How much snow are you expected to get, Lorraine? And why by you? Can you give us a general idea of where you're at? You know, a city in a major city in the state. You don't need to give us the exact city that you live in. Just a major city that's close to you. I don't live in Chicago, but that's the city I give. Chicago's about 30-ish miles from us, I want to say. We're a southwest suburb of Chicago, so it's close enough. It's close enough to use it as a reference. All right. Pull that up. Rotate this around. Smooth it out. All right. Back down we go. There we go. A lot of bunching on these two. Oops, I just dropped my purple thing. Grab that off the floor because I'm going to need it again. Trying to make sure I've got this nice and smooth. There we go. Grab that off the floor. There we go. Oh, expecting 6 to 9 inches. My goodness. Oh, northern Massachusetts. Okay, northeastern Massachusetts. All right. So Terry says, it's kind of weird seeing names in chat that are usually see in blue everywhere I go. LOL, my eyes get lost. I wonder, is that because they're moderators on other channels? Or why are they showing in blue? I wonder. There you go. Oh, moderators elsewhere. Gotcha. Yeah. Right now, we only have one moderator for the channel, Lucas, and he is awesome. So I haven't really felt the need to add any more just yet, but I'm sure as the channel grows, we'll need to add some more. Lucas does an amazing job, so I haven't really had the need to add anybody else as a moderator. Yes, Terry, Lucas is on it. He is on the ball, so I just let him do his thing. He does a fantastic job at it. All right, we are almost all the way around, and then we can get to the fun stuff. Although, if I'm being honest, anytime there's sewing involved, it's always fun. We're going to switch out to the walking foot here in just a minute, once we get through this here. The walking foot is really loud. For those of you who have never used one before, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in one, so they can be kind of loud and obnoxious, but they work really well. I actually was grateful enough that my machine actually came with one, so I didn't have to buy it separate, which was kind of nice because they're kind of pricey. They are definitely pricey. Let's see. Nope, looks like we're not going to have too much bunching, which is nice. Nice, wide, long zigzag stitch just to baste it, just to kind of keep everything in place. This just gives me a little bit more peace of mind when I'm moving things around, that things don't stretch out too much. Terry says, my walking foot is loud indeed. I was just using it the other day. Yeah, they can be a little obnoxious sometimes. Oh, they've got a little bit of a fold here. Just a tiny touch of one. Trying to leave that go. There we go. All right, there we go. I did not knot that or really overlap it at all because, again, I want to be able to just kind of run my seam ripper through it and pull it all out when we go to bind it. Okay, so we've got that one zigzagged up. We're just going to work with this one today. We still have a second one over here that has an extra block to it. We're going to work on that one another day. Let me go ahead and take my gloves off for a minute. And now we're going to need to switch out my walking foot. So I'm going to set these over here. I'm going to have to bring the machine up to do that. But let me grab my... This is a walking foot for those of you who have never seen one before. This is what they look like. They look like a crab. Honestly, they look like a crab. This is what mine looks like. But basically how it works is it works with the needle on your machine, and it basically just moves up and down with your needle. The whole thing moves up and down with your needle, and it helps you to grab the fabric. This piece here connects up. These two pieces connect up with the actual top of the machine, and so the whole thing just kind of moves with the feed dogs. There's my key. Okay. So in order to put this on, first thing I need to do is reset back to default. So I'm going to turn the machine off so that it doesn't accidentally turn on me. And put it up like that. All right. Pull this foot off. This foot can go back in here because that's where it belongs. Okay. Now I need to take off the quick connect attachment for my feed dogs, or my presser feet. This is the quick connect thing that we were talking about with my mom yesterday. She has never used the quick connect on her machine before. She only uses one foot. So when we were working with it yesterday, she had no idea that it was that easy to switch it out. Because I've got everything apart, now would probably be a great time to switch out my needle, but I did just change it out the other day, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. So this arm here goes up where the needle is held. It sits on, it connects to that, and then this piece here goes around the side of the feed dog arm and connects up there. So this is how this all connects up together. So we're going to put that up there, put this one here. And then I'm just going to use my screwdriver to tighten it all up. And I want to make sure it's really tight. So it doesn't get loose on us. There we go. All right. That is all attached up now, and we are ready to go. We are ready to rock and roll. Now you guys are going to hear a different sound in the machine. That is because, like I said, that feed dog has a lot of moving parts in it. The walking foot has a lot of moving parts, and it's a little bit of a louder sound. If it's still too loud for you guys and you can't hear me, just let me know. Again, I will move the mic around. Terry says, that's cute. Change the needle, change the thread. Oh, thank you, Terry. Yeah, all of the Heist sayings are custom ones that I've pulled from various sewing references. Adjust the tension and try again. Congrats to our winners. Sewing Journey Tracy says, so Terry, you took the words right out of my mouth. LOL, I hope she doesn't think it is you saying all the silly things I say. And so Terry says, "LOL, let it go, let it go." No worries, no worries. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a stitch in the ditch. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch in between each one of these t-shirts. Just kind of up and down. Again, these are just to anchor each t-shirt. So then that way when we start doing the more detailed sewing, the pieces don't kind of slide around on us. They're a little bit more anchored. There's not as much give to them. So I go ahead and do that. This is just a straight stitch. I'm just using a straight stitch on my sewing machine. Again, I like to go slow to make sure that I don't ruin anything or I don't grab anything weird. I am going to use black thread. It's probably going to stand out a little bit on the quilt, but that's okay. I kind of want it to a little bit. On some of these other lighter colored t-shirts, I might switch out to a lighter color thread when we get to the detail stuff. But for right now, at least for in between and the stitching in the ditch, if I do it correctly, you really won't see the thread too much. Because it's supposed to be in the ditch. So basically what the ditch means is where the two pieces of fabric meet up, that is actually where we want to try and put our needle. It's right in between those two pieces. So if we do it correctly, you're going to barely see the thread, if at all. That was Tracy, Danny. I was silent. Tracy says, don't believe her. Linda said, if you pressed seams open, I was told not to stitch in the ditch. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I would like to, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to know the kind of reason why. I mean, I guess because, you know, I guess it could kind of separate the pieces in some way. I mean, I guess I could understand that, but basically you're just, if you've separated them, you're basically just stitching on the stitches is basically all you're doing, and you could cut one of the stitches and the thing could come open. I guess I could understand that. I think because we're going to be doing a lot of quilting, all around quilting, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm using this more as a stabilizer than I am as an end result. I think if I was not doing any other quilting and I was only doing the stitch in the ditch, then you're probably right. I don't think I would have wanted to have the seams open like that because, again, you're basically just stitching on stitches. You're not actually stitching. In theory, you're not stitching on fabric if you're doing it correctly. So I guess I can kind of see that if that was your only quilting that you were doing. But because we're going to be doing a bunch of quilting, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just more looking at it as a stabilizer. Judy says, I was told that too. If it weakens the thread line, I was told a thread or two over, which, let's face it, I can't sew a straight line anyway, so I'm sure it will be a thread or two over anyway. But I'm not using the stitch in the ditch presser foot, so it's going to be a thread or two over anyway. But that's great advice for anybody that's doing it. Yes. Yep, you could cut a stitch. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yep, it could cut a... Yep, absolutely. Yeah, 100%, guys. That is a great, excellent advice for anyone that's watching this channel. And that is why I am not the expert. You guys are. See, I've already got a problem. Something is caught somewhere. Something is caught underneath. Something is caught underneath. Okay, let's try this again. Something got caught and it, like, wouldn't go. See if I can fix it. There we go. Let's try it again. Take two. I'm actually going to start a little bit away from the edge. And then put the needle down and do a couple of stitches forward. And then I'm going to do a bunch of them back. I go really, really slow with my walking foot because I'm not used to it. You can see, I'm sure, hopefully you guys can hear how much louder it is compared to just regular stitching. It's got that extra like beat to it. Just make sure don't get anything bunched up underneath there. And I like to go nice and slow. For some people that makes them crazy. But I like to go nice and slow. So the fabric lays nice and flat. There we go. And again, I am not knotting any of these stitches. So you guys can see. Let me turn on this camera real quick so you guys can see. Give me a second. Let me flip screens. Okay, do I still have audio? Yes, I still have audio. Okay. Let me show you guys what it looks like when it's stitched in the ditch. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'm sure most of you already know what it looks like. But this way, you guys can see what it looks like. So here, you can see that I did like just a stitch over, so you could actually see the line. But then here, you can see that I must have done it right in the ditch because you can't even see the thread at all. Let me see if I've got a darker, a brighter light. The light is like terrible in here today. Hang on. Let me turn my flashlight on. Here we go. Is that better? Can you guys see that a little bit better? So you can see right here, it's all the way in the ditch. There's nothing there. And then here, well, here, let me do this. There. There you go. You can see here where you can actually see the thread. That is when I went just a stitch or two over. And then here where it completely disappeared, that's when it's actually in the ditch because you can't see it between the two layers. Like I said, if you do it correctly, you can't see it at all. Let me turn my flashlight off. There we go. All right. Back over. Yes, near the ditch, Kelly says. Yeah. Yes, it does call for precision sewing, and that's why sometimes mine move a little over. That's why they're not always perfect. But they're close. And if you use a matching color thread that matches the background of your pieces, then you usually don't have to worry about it too much because you're really not going to see it that much anyway. Kelly or Tracy, I completely understand. She says my first thought my brain has is cool, stitch in the ditch, and then that way it when with the pieces ironed open and it'll be stronger because it's weaving the thread through. But it doesn't always work that way. Hi Kinshaw, welcome to the channel. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us today. Happy Sunday morning to you. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this now because I'm gonna need to feed this under the throat of my machine to get to the next section. We are working on our t-shirt quilt. We have stabilized the layers with a nice zigzag basting stitch, and now I'm going and stitching in the ditch between them. Again, this is all just to stabilize. This isn't necessarily for final design. This is just to stabilize so that we can work with our, why are you being all weird today? So that we can start to do our quilting and make it a little bit easier for us to do that. Go ahead and roll this up a little bit. Okay, excuse me. Kelly says, my general approach to any project is close enough. I'm with you, Kelly. I'm with you. I agree 100%. That did not sound good. That didn't sound good at all. Pull this nice and tight. Back down. There we go. All right. Cheryl, good morning. Welcome to the channel. I see you're checking your thimbles over there. Good morning. Probably lurking. That's okay. No problem with that. You're still playing your thimbles game, so that's good. Tracy says, LOL, Kelly, now you're talking my language. Yep. Close enough. Like I always say, done is better than perfect. So, pull this pin out. The other reason that I do this is so that I don't have to worry about having all the safety pins anymore. I can pull out the safety pins because now everything is basically stabilized enough that I can work with it. That's why I kind of do this. Can you guys hear a difference in the machine and how it sounds with the walking foot? I don't know if the mic is picking that up or not. It might consider it background noise and is not picking it up. Absolutely, Kelly. That is exactly the theme of this channel, is not to obsess about it being perfect. 100%. Just try my best, and if my best is not good enough for you, well, then my project is not good enough for you. That's the way, you know, then you're just not good enough for my project if my best is not good enough for you. Oops. Again, dropped my purple thing. What did I do with it this time? There it is. I found it. Grab it. Grab it. Oh. All right. Judy says, your walking foot is quieter than mine. Well, I am going really slow, so that might have a lot to do with it, too. I know the faster you go, the louder it is. Terry says, I've got to go in a few. See you all around YouTube later. Be safe. XO. Thanks, Danny. No, Terry, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thanks for joining us last night and today. We really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. We are just about ready to start doing some actual quilting here. This is the last straight stitch we need to do, or at least, you know, planned straight stitch, I guess. Teresa Lynch says, sorry I'm late. Teresa, never apologize for being late. No worries. You are never late, hon. Never, never, never. You know what they say? A queen is never late. Everyone is simply early. That's what they say. But yeah, I do know that a walking foot can be much louder the faster you're going, and I like to go pretty slow, so it's not super loud. All right. Up. All right. Have done. This one only has 1, 2, 3, 4 black. This one's only 4 blocks. So there was only 3 stitch in the ditch lines that we needed to worry about. Bye, Terry. Thanks again so much. Yep. Wave to the queen. Thanks again so much for stopping by. All right. So now we get to do the fun part. Yay, the fun part. Actually, I'm going to pull out the rest of these safety pins because we really don't need them anymore now that we've got everything pretty well stabilized. And they're just going to get in the way. So for the actual quilting itself, I think I'm going to try to match up my thread colors to the backgrounds of the t-shirts. Just to kind of let it blend in a little bit more. I don't want it to stand out too much. So for right now, we have black thread in the machine. So we're going to go ahead and do this black t-shirt here in the middle. We're going to focus on that one right now. Let me just check and make sure I got all the pins out. Yep, all the pins are gone. Cool. So we're going to focus on this black one for today. And then I will try to find thread to match the other ones and wind up a bobbin for each one so that we have them. But basically, this black t-shirt here, you guys can see it on the screen. It's a round inside of a round, and then there's some designs in here. So what I want to do first is I want to go around this circle, and I want to go probably 1/4 of an inch on the outside of the circle, and I want to try and go all the way around it. And then I'm going to go on the outside and the inside here. I want to go along this edge here all the way around till we get to this bunny design, and then I'm going to actually try to work in between that and then just kind of go around this here and then up here. So I'm going to try to make these, I want to do a little bit of a detail quilt inside of each of these designs, but I'm not going to go too crazy with this because this is all still really new to me. I'm going to be using my walking foot. I'm not going to be doing any type of free motion. So I do still need it to be technically a straight stitch, but that's what I plan to do. And then once we get those 2 lines done, I might go around the inside here and just kind of go around the edges. I haven't really decided yet. We're going to have to wait and see. So one step at a time, let's see. But that's kind of what I want to do with each one of these. I want to kind of go around the edges, kind of go around the outside with it. I'm going to leave, there's still going to be a lot of empty space with these. And I'm okay with that because I don't really feel like it needs anything too crazy. And I'm not going to do any type of all-around design. I'm just going to I want to emphasize the designs of the t-shirts. So I want to kind of give them a little bit of texture, a little bit of lift. So that's what that quilting is going to do for us. It's going to give it a little bit of lift, give it a little bit of texture. Basically, these are already anchored because we've put the stuff there, and we're going to bind the whole thing up together. But this way, it kind of gives it a little bit more. Kelly says, my quilting designs are often on the fly. Well, that's the way to work with them, right? Am I going to change the bobbin thread too? Judy, that is an excellent question. I think I'm going to, just because I have a tendency to make it so that things come through the wrong color. And I don't want, especially with these lighter colors, I don't want a black bobbin thread and a blue and a really pale blue top thread because I don't want to see the little dots. I know you can fix that with your tension sometimes, but I just don't want to have to take that risk. So I probably will change my bobbin thread. This backing is pretty busy. It's a pretty busy design, so I think it's really going to hide the stitching pretty well. And honestly, the lighter colors are going to work really well in it anyway. I think the lighter colors are going to work really well in it anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. I was just looking to see if there was a little puckering. Probably could have went a little bit smoother on it, but that's okay. But I think the lighter colors are going to be fine. So I'm probably going to change both the top and bottom bobbin thread as well. Good question, though. So Terry says, my walking foot has a rubber band that rolls the fabric through and it sounds like rubber. Every time I use it, I feel like I'm on an exercise walker. Is that how you get your exercise? I hope you're getting more exercise than that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Again, I don't like to start in a corner. I like to kind of start on an edge, but I want to go the other direction. So we're going to start this way. Oops. Fabric there. There we go. Go. All right. No, I need to go this way. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here, guys. This is the way I want to go. No, any way I do this, I have to do this way. All right, so I want this to be about 1/4 of an inch away from that outside edge. So I'm using this, I know you guys probably can't see it, but there's a white piece on my walking foot that's actually the feed dog for the top. And I'm going to use that as my guide. I'm going to line that up with the green line, and that's about 1/4 of an inch to where the needle is at. Maybe just a slightly little more, but that's what I'm going to use. This time I am going to knot my stitches. I'm just going to do 1 or 2 stitches back just to kind of knot them, because then that way the quilting actually stays nice and tight. It doesn't come unraveled on me. So I'm going to do just 1 or 2 stitches forward. 1 or 2 stitches back. And now we're doing a straight stitch with our feed dog. So we have to guide the fabric in order to make the turn. So we're going to go slow and we're going to guide the fabric to make those turns. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Actually, I want to take a drink first. Yum. All right, here we go. I promise that's not a mimosa, it's just water. This is extra important for your posture when you're working with the quilting like this, because you have a tendency to kind of lean over to the machine to see what you're doing, and you want to remember to stay upright because that is what's best for your back and your shoulders. So you'll see me, I'll keep doing this and then I'll like stand up, sit up straight. So you'll see me keep correcting myself as I go through. But I'm just going to take my time. I'm not going to rush. Just going to feed it through slowly. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's kind of why I'm trying to use a matching thread. So then that way, if it isn't 100% perfect, it doesn't really show too much. It's just supposed to highlight the design that's in the t-shirt already. It's not supposed to give it any more additional designs or anything else. So we're just kind of going around the outside circle here. I'm kind of letting the design of the t-shirt dictate my quilting is basically what I'm doing. I've decided I'm not going to do any type of overall design. I'm going to let the specific t-shirt choose the design for us. And there's going to be a lot of empty space, and that's okay. I am okay with that. I think that just kind of helps everything. It helps emphasize the design in my opinion. Obviously, you know, you're making your own. You do what you feel is best. Some people don't like what they call the dead space, so they like to fill it with you know, just swirlies and lines and things like that, and you can absolutely do that if that's what you want to do. For this particular project, I don't feel like that's necessary, but that's just me. Judy says, "You got this, Danny." Thank you, Judy. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I appreciate that. Thank you. Because t-shirts are very unforgiving, so we really don't want to make a mistake here, because it really tears up the t-shirt fabric to have to pull the threads out, so to have to use the jack. So we're trying not to do that if we can avoid it. That is one of the drawbacks to working with t-shirts, at least in my opinion, is that they are very unforgiving when it comes to making mistakes. So we try to be really, really careful and very deliberate about what we are doing. We're just about to the end of our first circle. So I'm going to snip this thread here. Where's my bucket? Here we go. Snip that thread there. Flip it over. And snip the thread on the back. Just so it doesn't get jammed in there. Kelly says, that's how I quilt. I like it slow. Yeah, me too, Kelly. I do like to go slow and take my time. And, you know, I never give a timeline of when projects are going to be done. So then that way I can take my time and kind of make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. Snip these threads real quick. There we go. Normally I don't worry too much about the threads and I snip them later on. But when I'm quilting like this, I like to snip them right away so that they don't get jammed into another piece of the project. All right, so now I'm going to do the outside edge. Now I'm going to have to get a little closer to the edge here because there's some writing along this edge here and there's not a whole lot of space between this outside line and this edge. So I'm going to try my best to just kind of go right in between the edge there. That's the goal. We'll see if it happens. All right. That's a little bit closer to the green than I want, so I'm going to actually pull that back. Since it's just one thread, it'll pull right out. And I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more. Yeah, that's more where I want it to be. All right. 2 stitches forward, 2 stitches back to anchor it, and then we're going to go all the way around. Kelly says, I have to get dressed and do some chores. Bye, everyone. I may catch you on the other lives if I have time before my folks arrive. Bye, Kelly. Thanks so much for stopping in today. We really appreciate it. Happy Sunday morning to you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Chloe says, echo quilting. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm going to try and do a little bit on both sides to kind of give the design a little bit of texture. Or a little bit of lift. That is the goal. We'll see if it happens because I am not good at this. But that's the goal. So we're going to have quite a few episodes of just quilting this particular design. There's no time limit on this, so we're just going to keep going with it. So let's go ahead and keep moving with this one. What time is it? 11:43. Oh, we got plenty of time. We might just finish this particular t-shirt here. Let's see. Now the trick here is to try and keep an even amount of space between that green line and my stitching line as much as possible. It's not going to be perfect, but that's also one of the reasons why I like to try and use a thread that matches the background. So then that way, if there's a little bit of a hang up, nobody really sees it. It doesn't really show. And the texture is still there. Always make sure you're straightening everything out to keep everything nice and smooth so that you don't get any buckles. Alright, now we're in with the actual words, so we're trying to get those lined up kind of in the center. Kind of even slowing down a little bit to make sure that I'm feeding it right in between those letters. Go. There's that posture again, so I'm gonna fix that. All right. One of the nice things about my specific machine, and maybe some of you have this as well, is, and my mom has it on hers as well, we were talking about yesterday on the live stream, I have an actual speed slider on my machine so I can turn it up or turn it down. And when I'm doing stuff like this, I actually like to turn it down to a very slow speed. So then that way, no matter how hard I hit that pedal, I can't go any faster than I'm intending to go. So then that way I don't have to worry about it too much. So that is a recommendation from me as well, as if you have one, use that slider, to help you in your speeds. The other thing that's great is like my machine, if I unplug the foot pedal, there's a start stop button here. That is another thing that works really well too. That way you don't have to focus on your speed on your feet. You can just focus on what you're doing here, and you can use the start stop button there. That way you set your speed to what you want and you don't have to worry about it. It just keeps a nice consistent speed. That is really great for when you're doing free motion quilting, because then you can kind of get into a groove and you don't have to worry about the two pieces. You can let the machine set the speed for you. It's kind of like cruise control for your car. Let the machine set the speed of the stitches for you. I mean, obviously you're going to set it, but it'll keep that consistent speed, so then you can focus on your movements and making sure that you're moving them at a nice even space. Or even pace. So that's another recommendation I have for you if you're doing this. It is something that I've done before. Hi, Sandra. Welcome back. I know you popped in earlier. I'm sure you had to step away for something, but welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us again. Okay. Going super slow around these words just to make sure that I'm putting the stitches exactly where I want them. And I can kind of speed up a little bit when I get to the better stuff. I am just about to the end here. Want to make sure that I trimmed off my threads. Go just 1 or 2 stitches over the top of my previous ones. 2 stitches back. 2 stitches forward, and then cut my thread. Cheryl says hi. Hi, Cheryl. Good morning. All right. Later today, I will be posting our official schedule for February. I've already posted the pending videos for February to the channel, but I hadn't not posted the actual official schedule yet. I will be posting that later today. Just a reminder, next Sunday is the first Sunday of the month, so our Sunday live stream starts half an hour later than normal. We have virtual breakfast with our kids, so that is why that happens. I don't think I want to go quite a quarter of an inch here. I want to kind of go. All right, so now I'm just moving to the next line in. This is this inner circle here. I'm going to be doing the outside first and then the inside. So I give it a nice texture there as well. I'm really liking how it's coming out so far. I can kind of see it a little bit here. I like it so far. All right. Grab that. There we go. And then come forward again. Now this is where some of the designs are going to start to happen a little bit. So we're going to have to kind of pivot our stitches some. So we're going to come up to the edge here where we've got a design, and we're going to stop. We're going to keep the needle down, lift our foot, and then swing the fabric around where we want it to go, like this, like that. We're going to kind of spin it around because this is a kind of a circle here. Go there, come a little bit more like that. Around the edge like this. There we go. And then follow the design. Alright. Again, it's not going to be quite perfect, but I'm not looking for perfect. I'm just looking for it to kind of match up. Spin it around. Spin it again. We're going over some bunny's whiskers here. So we're gonna get back on track now. There we go. We're back to the circle. And we're gonna go again. Right. Linda says, I have trouble going slow, but I can see a need to do when I'm quilting. Yeah, you know what? I can understand that. I don't mind going slow. I prefer it, honestly. But my mom is one of those, same thing. She's like, why am I moving at a turtle's pace? But you know, when you're doing this type of quilting, especially with a walking foot, you know, you want to go slow and take your time so that you can really get the stitches, especially when you're doing quilting like this. Now, if you're doing an all-around quilting, speed is not necessarily a bad thing. It will make things a little bit easier for you. But when you're doing a quilting like this, and it's very intricate designs, and you're kind of going around things, I prefer to go slow, because then that way I can make sure that I'm moving the fabric exactly the way that it needs to be moved, and I have enough time to react if I need to make any adjustments. So that is the way I prefer to do things. You know, obviously everybody does things differently. You do what works best for you. If you prefer going fast, then by all means go fast and speed on. Going around the words here again, so I'm going to slow down just a pinch, make sure I get around them perfectly. This is a great time to just remind everybody, if you haven't already, please go over and tickle that like button. It really appreciates it, and so do I. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm so that we can meet some new friends. And also, if you haven't already, if you're watching right now and you haven't already, or if you think you have and you're not sure, just double check for me, especially if you're not participating in chat. Just head back over to the channel page and make sure that you've hit that subscribe button already. I've had a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people come back in chat and says, OMG, I didn't realize I wasn't subscribed. So if you're not a participant in chat, that's usually a great way to just double check. If you're a participant in chat, you have to be subscribed in order to do so. So I wouldn't worry about you guys. But if you're not a participant in chat, just go over there and double check and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. That way you can get notified every time I post a new video, or I have, because we're going to have some videos here coming up probably in the next few months. Mama Joyce is going to be working on a project at her home, and I'm going to record some videos for her about that so that hopefully it can help some people. She talked a little bit about it yesterday in our live stream. She's going to be working on reupholstering her dining room chairs, and she wants to share that journey with you guys. So I'm going to be helping her document that, and we're going to be posting that on the channel. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you're subscribed so you can see when those videos start coming out. Also, when I post things to the community so that you guys get a notification of that stuff as well. Just to kind of make sure that you're up to date on everything that's going on with the channel. I don't want you to miss anything. Also, if you are a member of Facebook or Instagram, please make sure you head over there and check out our pages there as well. You can do !links, that's LINKS, in chat, and it'll give you links to both of those so that you can make sure to be part of both of those. All right, so that was the outside. So now we're going to try to attempt to do the inside. The inside's a little bit tricky because there's a lot of designs and stuff. So I think I'm going to do, you guys can probably see it on the camera here. I'm going to do this outside design here. I'm just going to kind of go around the inside. And then I'll probably go from here down here like this. I'll probably try to do this one, maybe a little around this turtle's head here, like that. I mean, I'm just going to try to do some of these bigger spaces. Just to kind of, like I said, give it a little bit of texture. I'm not looking to do anything too detailed, but I do want to try to give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of depth, especially when we wash it, because then hopefully things will kind of puff up a little bit. All right. Let me just kind of start in the middle here. I don't like to start right at an edge. I prefer to start kind of in the middle of a line. So yeah, go click over there, click that like button, go tickle that like button for me. Double check and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, especially if you're not a participant in chat. I see some threads. And if you have a friend or a Facebook group or a Discord group or just a group of friends that might be interested in the channel, please feel free to share it with them. We always want to make new friends here. Making new friends is the goal of this channel. It is not necessarily to, have hundreds of thousands of subscribers or make lots of money. It is to make lots of friends. That is the goal. And we can only do that if we keep adding new friends to the group. So, but later today I'll be posting the official schedule for for February. Our next After Dark edition is on the 17th. We looked at that yesterday. And we are going to be starting a new project in February called Resilient. It's a new quilting project. We're going to be starting that one. If you guys have been followers of the channel, then you know that we start these projects from the very, very beginning, like ironing fabrics. That's what we're going to be doing. That's where we start. We start by opening up the fabrics and ironing them. And getting them all set and ready to go. So that's what we're going to be doing. Go. Okay. Excuse me. Trying not to go too detailed with this. Let's see. There's some whiskers and stuff here. Trying not to go too detailed with it. Doesn't have to be too crazy. Go. folding it over again. Alright, so I only saw a couple of mentions of what people were working on. If you haven't already shared that, please feel free to enter that into chat. I'd love to know what you guys are working on because it keeps me motivated. It keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired. That's actually one of the reasons why Mama Joyce decided to join the PMQ is because of all the great things that you guys were saying about it and how much fun it looked. And the beautiful designs that it was, and the fact that it looked like it was going to be really easy for her to do because everything was already cut for her. But we are going to get her into some block making too. So that's a plan for the future. We've got a lot of plans for her. We're gonna make her a quilter whether she likes it or not. We're gonna turn her into one. We're gonna convert her into a quilter whether she likes it or not. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Sandra says she's working on a rag quilt with old jeans and a cotton front. Ooh, that sounds like fun. How do you do a rag with jeans? Because I mean, like, usually I do cotton rag because flannel or cotton rag because it kind of frays when you do the little snips. So how are you or are you not doing like the rag edges? You're just gonna kind of do it because how does that work with the jean? Does it like? Well, I guess the jean would fray. I guess, yeah. Linda says she's making composition notebook covers and covers for small composition notebooks. Oh, Linda, that's fun. Are you doing that, for someone specific, like a child or grandchild, or are you doing that for a craft show, or just because it's a fun little project? That sounds like fun. We are just about at the end of our first little detail piece here. No, making them for gifts if I need one. Oh, excellent idea. Excellent idea. Did you make your own pattern, or are you following a pattern of some kind? Sorry, I like to ask a lot of questions. Unlike my mom, if you watched her yesterday, she kept raising her hand every time she had a question. She's like, I have a question. I have a question. She's so funny. She's so silly. Let's fold this over. Snip those threads off. Alright, so our first set of details is done. We're going to move on. That was the biggest, well, that was one of the bigger pieces. We're going to work on the other bigger piece now. We got an online pattern. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, Sandra says same way with the jeans. They do fray just fine. Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess I just wasn't really thinking about it. Chloe says those are pretty and fun, Linda. Got an online pattern from YouTube. Oh, okay. Fantastic. I am not ashamed to admit that that is where I get a lot of my patterns from as well when we're doing all these fun projects. Most of them are from other YouTube content creators. I do try to give credit for those content creators in the descriptions of my videos whenever we do a project like that. I do try to note what video or what channel I got it from in the description. I don't like to take credit for other people's work. That's not fair. That's not kind. Plus, I mean, it's illegal as well, but that's not why I don't do it. It's because it's not kind. I am not going to take credit for something that I did not come up with. Getting a little twisted here. It's getting a little tricky. Okay. Somebody sent me a message and asked how come they haven't seen any new cars from Mr. Wizard, and it's not necessarily because he hasn't wanted to work on anything. But, you know, Mr. Wizard's studio is out in the garage, and it's been really cold. I mean, he does have heaters out there, but it was so cold out there these last few weeks that even his heater just was not going to keep up. So he was really excited because he was able to move all of his stuff. He had to move all of his paints and things out into the house because he didn't want any of that to freeze. And so he was all excited because he got to move it all back into the garage yesterday. So I'm sure that's where he will be hiding out all day today. So he's really excited to get back into it. I know what that's like, not being able to work on your hobby when you want to. I know when the girls come home from school and I'm kind of not able to access this room for a little while. I know how that feels, so I get it. I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he's going to be working on next. For those of you who are not familiar, Mr. Wizard is my husband. He makes model cars, the little model cars in 1/25th scale, and he is extremely talented at it. He does a fantastic job. He buys the kits, and then he does all the painting, and he puts them all together, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I usually showcase one or two of them at the beginning of our Sunday live streams, but unfortunately, like I said, he really hasn't made any new ones lately, so there haven't been any to showcase. He's actually won a couple of awards this year for them, so super proud of him for that. That was really exciting. Over here. Might as well flip this thread while I'm seeing it. So yeah, so as soon as he has something new to show you guys, I will showcase that here on the channel. Show it off for you to see. There we go. Dawn says, I have put everything else on hold, Chloe, and I have been working on it since the 13th. Ooh, what are we talking about? Oh, working on the legit kits in the middle. There are lots of tiny pieces. Oh, you know, one of these days I will invest in one of those kits. Which one are you doing, Chloe? One of these days I will invest in one of those kits and officially make it my, I'm officially at the time succubus. Yeah, one of these days I will make the commitment to that. I have learned some paper piecing. I've never done a full-size project like that before, so it's a little intimidating, I will be honest. But I really would like to do it. Probably it's not going to be something that we do this year, obviously, but we might look into investing in it sometime next year. We'll have to wait and see. Oop. Already at the end of this one here, so we're just going to go over those threads. That was fun. All right. Standing Stones, just released from pre-sale. Oh, wow. And you're already halfway through it? It just released from pre-sale and you're already halfway through. Wow, you're really moving fast. Alrighty, let's grab another section here. Start this way. Thread back there. Back there. There you go. Drop down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm just moving right along to a littler section here. This one we're really only going to be able to do like one line, I think. But we're going to try. So we're going to go down this way. now I gotta go back, so it's gonna be... There we go. We're gonna spin it around here. And go down this branch. Alright, now go back. Go. Just rolling it up, spinning it around. Grab this thread here. Grab that one. Get rid of that one. All right. Spinning it again. Hi, Mona. Welcome back to the channel. I saw you pop in yesterday for a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us yesterday, and thank you for joining us again today. Dawn says BRB. No problem. Dawn says, no. Probably a third of the way, but we had several snow days. Ah, gotcha. Linda says, how do I tie off when I'm done with a section? Linda, I have just been backing out the threads. If you're asking me. I'm not sure if you were asking me or if you were asking Dawn that question. But if you're asking me, I just do a reverse stitch in a couple of times. That's all I really do. If it's a full circle, then I'm actually able to go all the way back around and then to kind of go over the top of the previous stitches just to kind of tie everything together. And again, I do a couple back stitches and forward ones as well. But on these straight ones where there's really no end to it, it's just like a straight line that comes over and ends, I go ahead and I anchor those with a couple of back stitches, and then I just kind of go around and anchor them again. That's really all I'm doing. Whether they stay that way or not, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that's what I'm doing. Just kind of following the circles around. There we go. And then I spin it around. There we go. And go again. But like I said, this is one of the reasons why I'm using as close to as the background color stitching as I can. Because then that way, if the stitches overlap or they don't overlap or they look a little funky, you don't really notice it too much because it kind of blends in with the background. I'm doing this more for a texture than I am for a design. So that's why I'm trying not to stress too much about what it looks like. There we go. Come down this way. There we go. Down. But I'm not sure who you were asking that question to. So if you were asking me, I've answered it for you. Alright, so here I am at the end of this particular set of stitches. So I'm just going to do 2 or 3 back stitches and then a couple of forward ones. And then just cut my thread. And then I roll it up. And I find my... There we go. And the back of this fabric is pretty busy, so you can see the stitches obviously, but it's not too bad. At least I don't think it is. And, you know, if the person that's receiving this thinks it's too bad, well, that's their problem, not mine. They should be grateful for what they got. I'm just kidding. Kind of. No, I know who's getting this, and they will be. They will be absolutely grateful for whatever they receive. They are not going to be picky about what it looks like. In fact, I could probably do a whole lot less stitching than this. And for the Christmas one, I just did stitching in the ditch, and that was it. And that one worked just fine. So this one is going to be a little bit more for it's more for me than it is for them. They're gonna appreciate no matter what. So I know who they are, and I know what they're gonna They're going to appreciate it no matter what. No matter what I did. Streamlabs doing its job to remind everybody to like and subscribe again if you haven't already. Lucas said he would be right back. No problem, Lucas. We usually don't have too much trouble on this channel with spammers or anything else, so I don't worry too much if he's got to step away. I do not worry about it too much at all. Linda says, I love handmade things, but no family does it, and when I gave my handmade things away, they kind of looked at it and never saw it again. And no appreciation for my work. They bought things. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, Linda, and I can understand your frustrations with that. I am lucky in that my family is actually pretty crafty. Most of the members of my family are kind of crafty. So they understand the amount of work that goes into a handmade project. And so when a handmade project is gifted, they truly appreciate it. They really understand exactly how much work went into it, how many hours and how many fingers, went into that type of a project. So I am lucky in that regards, but I have gifted projects to non-family members and kind of gotten that same reaction before. They just didn't really understand that it's a completely different than something that's store-bought. They really just didn't understand the level of work that goes into it. So I can understand your frustrations and I don't think it's selfish to want to be appreciated for something like these types of projects where they take so much hard work and so much energy and sometimes a lot of money too, with all the materials and things like that. So I understand where you're coming from. I've experienced that once or twice before myself. And you know what? You just gotta... Hopefully you have more appreciators than non-appreciators, and you're able to focus on those a little bit more. But I can understand where, sometimes you just have to do things, do them for yourself. Do them because it gives you joy, not necessarily because it's for anybody else. Sometimes you're allowed to be a little bit selfish and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for me because it gives me joy. And hopefully there are people in your life that understand that, but sometimes there's not. And you know what? They just have to deal. They're just going to have to deal. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. Luckily for me, Mr. Wizard completely understands. He has his own hobby, so he understands that sometimes it just consumes your life. When I first started this channel and I was all stressed out because at that time I was doing a video a week and a live stream a week, and I was really stressed out about it. Because it was I gotta record, I gotta do this, and I had no life, absolutely no life because of the editing and everything for the videos. And he was just like, I thought this was supposed to be fun. I thought you're not supposed to, this isn't supposed to be work. This is supposed to be fun. If it's stressing you out, then why are you doing it? And at the time I just, because I have to do it. And he's like, but you don't have to do it. It's supposed to be fun, So, so it took a little while for me to kind of remember that it is supposed to be fun. You're just supposed to be having fun with it. If it is too much work, then you shouldn't be doing it. So that's when I kind of went to the live stream only format, and that seems to really have made a huge difference in my joy for the channel and for the hobby and just in general. So do things because you want to. Do some things because you want to, not necessarily because anybody else wants or needs you to, or even appreciates that you do them. Just do them because they give you joy. That's really all you can do sometimes. Linda says, it makes me think, where did I come from? LOL. Mona says, Linda, I'm lucky my family appreciated what I've made. There's a lot of people that associate handmade as cheap. In reality, it's the complete opposite. Absolutely, Mona, 100%. Yeah, handmade is not cheap by any means. It is extremely expensive. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Dawn says, it is work. I feel obligated to post content. Well, Dawn, I have always made the claim, and I have to be honest and say I didn't always follow it, but I have always made the claim that if it starts to feel like work, I'm not going to do it anymore. Which is not necessarily true, because that first year, it really did feel like work there for a little while. And that's why I opted to change my format. That's why I'm not... I ask for subscribers. I try to do a couple of different things to gain new followers, but I'm not putting 100% into it like some of the other content creators do. Simply because, one, I don't have that kind of time, and two, I felt like it wasn't fun anymore. It was work. And don't get me wrong, there is always some work that goes into running a channel. There's always some work. There's always some investment. There's always going to be those things. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't feel like fun, then to me, it's not worth it. That's just my own personal opinion, but to me, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it anymore. But obviously, you do you, and I'm going to do me. But Dawn, we're going to do everything we can to help you out over on your channel and on your blog as well. So we're gonna try and support each other as much as we can. Mona says, it's a lot of fun and a lot of work. As long as that work doesn't feel like work, then it's okay. That's the way I look at it. I mean, every once in a while it's going to, but yeah. Judy says, I prefer the lives. I don't think I would enjoy recording videos. Judy, I didn't mind so much the recording of the videos. It was the editing afterwards that just made me crazy. I didn't mind so much the recording, although the recording did take quite a bit of time as well. Usually I could get my recording done in one day, but then it would take me an entire week to edit it. It was crazy. It was just crazy. Because you're like, if somebody's watching a video, they don't want to sit there watching you an hour and a half video. They want to sit there and watch a 20-minute video on what you're doing. So, you got to speed up this section and cut that out. And look, what's important, what's not. And it was so annoying. So that's why I went to lives. I think lives is much more my jam. I will probably go back to videos at some point in time for various things, for little projects here and there. And you will see me every once in a while post a very, very short tutorial video on something that I talked about during the live that I wanted to show you guys a little bit more in detail, or with a different camera angle, things like that. But for the most part, this is a lives only channel for the most part. Dawn says it's kind of a second job. Yes, Dawn, I will admit that it is 100%. It is definitely a second job. And I do have to make sure that I find the time to do things like make my scheduling, pick out the days that Mama Joyce and I are going to get together, figure out what projects I'm going to be working on, make sure I have all the material set up for those projects, make sure I have all the stuff set up for those things. So yeah, it is 100% a second job. But as long as you enjoy it, that is the most important part. And the way I look at it, I'm going to be in this room anyway as it is. I just like the fact that I'm able to share that with you guys. And it keeps me motivated, because every week I'm in here as much as I can, because, and that, like I said, this room, this project, this hobby is my therapy. And this is forcing me to go to therapy every week, the way I look at it. Linda says, I love making things. Me too, Linda. I do too. Absolutely, 100%. Dawn says, but I am trying this work as prepping for retirement and looking forward to the better channel, content, connection with people. Juggling with a full-time job already makes it harder. Yeah, Dawn, I can understand that. I am nowhere as close to retirement, so this is definitely not a backup plan for me just yet. Right now, it's just something to kind of keep me motivated, make some new friends. That has always been my goal. Who knows where the channel will be at when it's time for me to retire. Maybe by then I'll have invested a lot more time and energy into it. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to retire early because of it. I doubt it, but who knows? But right now I'm not focused on that, but each person has to do their own thing. But yeah, Dawn, I totally get where you're coming from. It is a second job. It can be a lot of work at times. I don't put nearly the amount of work into it that I could. And I could grow the channel much faster if I put that kind of time in, but I also don't want to either. I kind of like that it's a smaller community right now, and it's kind of growing. I call it growing organically, because it's kind of growing at a natural pace. It's not, we don't boom have 1,200 subscribers all of a sudden, and I have to try and manage 1,200 subscribers. I want to give you guys this one-on-one feel for as long as I can, for as much as I can. But at the same time, I do want to continue to make new friends. I do want to continue to bring in new family, new friends into the, hi, Slay Arts. Happy afternoon to you. Thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. I do want to make new friends. I do want to have new people coming into the channel, and I do want it to grow so that we continue to make new friends. To what extent that is, how that happens, I'm not really concerned about that right now. I'm not worried. Slay Arts, I believe you might actually be new to the channel. I don't think I've seen you in chat before, so welcome to the channel. If you are not already new, well then welcome back. Thanks so much. We're working on a t-shirt quilt. We are kind of free motion quilting it with my, oh my gosh, walking foot. Oh my gosh, I just completely went blank there for a second. So welcome. We've got a few minutes left of our live stream today. Usually I go till about 12:30. I'm actually going to probably finish up this one specific t-shirt offline, and I'm probably going to work a little bit on these offline, because otherwise we're going to have 100 episodes trying to get these done, because I still have one more over here that we haven't even touched yet. So I'm probably going to do a little bit offline work on these, or off camera I should say. And I'll just show you guys what I completed as we go. Otherwise, we're never going to finish this. But yeah, Donna, I get where you're coming from. I think that all content creators kind of feel that way a little bit. I don't think that, sometimes I don't think that even the subscribers really understand the level of work and commitment that can go into a channel. Even a small one like mine has a certain level of commitment. I mean, you've got your channel, you've got your blog, you've got your social media, you're all in. So you are a lot more, you have a lot more commitment to your channel and your stuff than I do. But your channel has been around, I think, longer than mine too. And you do a much better job at providing tutorials and things like that nature too. That's why you are definitely one of the experts on our channel. Growing organically. Oh, thank you, Slay Arts. Yes. Well, I mean, and that's kind of the way I want it to grow naturally. You know, I that doesn't mean that I'm not trying to still promote the channel. I do try to do some things. Hi, Andrea. Welcome to the channel. Thanks so much. Oh, I think Slay Arts is Andrea. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way that's what I call it. I call it growing it organically, because I want it to grow naturally without any, without too much, interference. I mean, I could hire people to help it grow and all that other jazz, but I don't really see the need for any of that. I don't want it to grow too quickly. I want to be able to keep up with it. I want to grow with it. That's probably the better way to put it. I want to grow with it. Speaking of Dawn's channel, though, if you haven't already, please make sure you go over and give her a subscribe. She also has a blog. If you do !Dawn in chat, it'll give you a link to her stuff, so make sure you go head over there. Slay Arts, I don't think I have a link set up for your channel yet, but if and when Lucas comes back, oh, there's Lucas. Lucas, if you wouldn't mind setting up a link for Slay Arts and their channel, if you wouldn't mind. I think her name's Andrea. Andrea, right? You can just set it up as Slay Arts. That way we have it, and we can get them subscribed over there as well. Thank you, Lucas, for throwing Dawn's up there. Somebody said hi to Shannon. Hi, Shannon. I'm not sure which username that is, but hi, welcome. We've got just a few minutes left here. So So I'm just going to keep going along. Like I said, I'm probably going to finish this block, this t-shirt here myself. Finish doing all the inside quilting as much as I can on my own. And then when we come back, I'll show you guys, the next time we come back to this, I'll show you guys what I did and how it looks. And maybe we'll even be ready to trim it up. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how much I get done here. I've got to go through my thread stash and see if I can find some thread that matches these colors. I have so much thread. I'm certain I have colors that will match. I just have to find them. I have so much thread. Oh my goodness. I've been gifted just hundreds and hundreds of spools of thread. So I'm not worried about about having the right color. I will definitely have it. It's just a matter of where it's at. Slay Arts is Shannon, but she thinks there's an Andrea too. Oh, there's Andrea. Oh, Andrea says, I found you when you were on Sean's live. I try to help new channels with watch hours and subs. Glad to be here. Oh, no problem. Thanks so much, Andrea, for joining us. Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy what you're watching. And Shannon is Slay Arts. Okay, I'm still learning people's names, so I apologize for that. And sometimes I forget them, too. Poor Dawn. She's my quilt projects. I think it took me forever to remember her name, so I apologize for that. I'll probably ask it again a few times. Welcome to you both. We are working on a t-shirt table runner right now. Every week we do work on a different project. I have 4 projects that roll. Right now we have 4 projects running, and we're actually going to be starting a new one. I want to say it's next week. Next week we're going to be starting on a new one. They're usually full-size projects. And then every once in a while, I'll throw something, a smaller project in there just to feel like I've accomplished something. Because I think we've all been there. We've all been there. All right. Trimming up these threads. All right. All right, guys. So we have reached our 2-hour limit. I try to keep the lives to 2 hours as much as I can. But you guys, if you watched yesterday's live stream, with my mom, you know, she has a tendency to talk too much, and then we go an hour over. So, but I try not to do that. So we're going to end the stream here. I want to thank everybody again so much for joining me today. Thank you for joining us yesterday. Hello to all of our new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing and joining us in chat or just hanging out with us. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you can catch a live stream one of these days and chat in here with us. I hope that my audio was working better. I hope that the room looks nicer. You guys can actually see my green walls now. I think I've got all of that figured out. So hopefully everything is working out much better. All right, guys. Thanks again so much. Next week, Sunday's live stream will start a half an hour later than normal, and that's because we do a virtual breakfast with our kids, so don't forget that. I will also be posting on all of our socials and on the community page on our Facebook the official schedule for February of all of the dates and times of all of our live streams. We are only doing live streams on this channel right now. Eventually, we'll probably go back to videos, but right now, yes, Slay Arts, I'm so glad, Shannon, that you caught a live stream as well. Hopefully, you come back for next week. And you'll be able to catch another one. We'd love to chat with you more, get to know you a little bit better, work on things. She says I'm wretched at names. Brett says I wouldn't mind doing the videos, but I hate being in front of a camera. Yep, I totally understand that. All right, guys, just a reminder, make sure you go over and check out our Facebook and our Instagram. Check those out as well, and I will see you guys again next week. Stay safe, stay warm, have fun. Remember to try and smile. And that's all I've got for today. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.